أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to G4 Holy Qur'an Recitation Class for Muta'allimat. I'm your day teacher for today, and inshallah I will be assisted by the support teacher and teacher's assistant. Before we start our class, I would like to remind all the students that they have entered their correct ID, as this will mark their attendance, and those who have good attendance will inshallah will be given certificates. So we will start our class with the Holy Quran. For the recitation, can I please request ST to please pick a student?
Yes, could I please request G4719 to unmute?
G4719, Assalamu alaikum.
Yes. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Can you start the recitation with Ta'awuz and Tasmiyah?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Translation also?
Yes, please.
I seek refuge of Allah from the sad and the rejected. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Our Lord, let not our heart become perverse after thou hast guided us, and bestow on us mercy. There's some errors coming to say mercy from thyself. Surely thou alone art the bestower. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Mashallah, you've recited very well. Just one thing I would like to mention is this is innaka with a thin sound, not the thick sound. Jazakallah.
Okay. You want me to read it again?
Oh, no, that's completely fine. Jazakallah.
Thank you very much.
So next we'll move on to the hadith. Can I request the ST for a student for hadith?
Yes, could I please request G4737 to unmute?
G4737, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Can you recite the following hadith for me?
Yeah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. An Abi Lubabata Bashir ibn Abdul Munzaru radiyallahu anhu anna Nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qala Man lam yataghanna bil-Qur'ani falaysa minna. Hazrat Abir Musa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the one who does not recite the Holy Quran melodiously, not from among us, not on our way. Al-Bukhari, number 7527.
Jazakallah. Mashallah, you've read very well. One thing I would like to mention is we have two harufi gunna here. So that's a 2-second nasal sound rule. But mashallah, other than that, you have recited very well. Jazakallah. Moving on, we are going to Mulfuzat. Can I please request the ST for a student?
Could I please request G4703 to unmute?
G4703, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Okay, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Sayings of Prophet Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam. The Quran doesn't need you, but you need to read and learn the Quran. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. And now we are going to move on into quiz. I'll hand over to the TA for today's quiz.
Jazakillah Diti, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So let's start our quiz with our first question, and it is, when is a letter called Madmoom letter? Options are A, when it carries madda, B, when it carries a fatha, C, when it carries sukoon, or D, when it carries dhamma. ST, kindly unmute and ID.
Could I please request G4702 to unmute?
G4702. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Okay, so what option will you choose for the answer?
I think when it's option D.
D. So let's see. Yes, you are right. Well done. So a letter which carries dhamma is called a madmoom letter. Well done, G702. Next question. Which surah of the Quran is always read in Jumu'ah prayer or in Friday prayer? Is it Suratul Ghashiyah, or option B, Al-Fatiha, C, Al-Jumu'ah, or D, Al-Ala? ST, we need an ID for the answer.
Could I please request G4733 to unmute?
G4733. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. So which option will you choose?
Is it option A?
Option A. Let's see the correct answer, and the answer is Suratul Fatiha. So Suratul Fatiha is the surah which is read in all prayers, not only in Friday prayers, but in all prayers. So the answer is option B. Anyways, Jazakillah. Next question. In which surah the detailed commandments with regards to hijab are mentioned? A, chapter 2, Al-Baqarah, B, chapter 4, An-Nisa, C, chapter 24, Suratul Nur, or is it D, chapter 66, At-Tahrim? ST, kindly unmute an ID for the answer.
Could I please request G4768 to unmute?
G4768. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yes. What is the correct option?
Is
your
it B
opinion?
chapter? Is it B chapter 4 Surah An-Nisa?
Jazakillah, but the correct answer is it's chapter 24, Suratul Nur. So in Suratul Nur, you can see the commandments about hijab. Jazakillah. Next question. Verses of which Qur'anic chapter or surah inspired Hazrat Umar Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu to accept Islam? A, chapter 20, Taha, B, chapter 1, Al-Fatiha, C, chapter number 55, Suratul Rahman, or D, chapter 36, Surah Yasin? ST, kindly unmute an ID for the answer.
Could I please request G4756 to unmute?
G4756. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Yes. What is the correct answer in your opinion?
Surah Fatiha.
Jazakillah. But the correct answer is Surah Taha, and it is chapter number 20. Okay. So this was the correct answer. Anyways, good effort. Last question of our quiz is, in which combined words will the rule of Tafkheem-ur-Raa or thickness of Ra be applied? Is it option A, Rizqan Hasana, or B, Rabbil Alameen. C. Miryatin, or option D. Bil Birri. So let's check who is answering this question. ST, we need one last ID.
Yes, could I please request G4750 to unmute?
G4750. Assalamu alaikum. G4750. Okay. I think
No
we should
worries.
ask someone else.
Yeah, we'll ask someone else. Could I please request G4745 to unmute?
G4745. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Think it's B, please.
B, Jazakillah, and your answer is correct. So Ra is carrying a fatha, so it will be pronounced in a thick sound or with a rounder mouth. Jazakillah, well done. G4, what was the ID? 745. Well done. Okay, this concludes our quiz, and let's learn something new today. Over to you, DT. Jazakumullah.
Jazakallah. So our today's lesson is about assimilation or idgham of lam sakin. In the Holy Quran, the word alif and lam, the letters have come thousands of times, and there are certain rules for that. So we'll go through those rules right now. So we are going to learn about izhar al-qamari and idgham al-shamsi, manifestation and merging of lam sakin. So lam with no mark of sukoon is completely merged. That is, we will do idgham here, that the lam will not be pronounced if followed by a mushaddad letter from al-huruf al-shamsiyah. And then lam with mark of sukoon is manifested, idhar. We will clearly pronounce lam if followed by al-huruf al-qamariyah. So there are 14 letters of al-huruf al-qamariyah and al-huruf al-shamsiyah, sun letters and moon letters. And to remember exactly when we can dictate the manifestation of lam sakin, we can learn the phrase ibghi hajjaka wa khaf aqimah. So to go into more detail, we can see over here 28 alphabets you can see on my screen at the moment that are highlighted in blue and red. The blue highlighted letters are the moon letters, and the red highlighted letters are the sun letters. And to remember which are the moon letters, remember the phrase, there are 14 letters each. We have to remember the phrase abghi hajjaka wa khaf aqimah. Lam sakin will be manifested and clearly pronounced if any of the above 14 letters come next to it. And here I have two examples. The examples for moon letters, we have wal akhir and wal qamar. So as you can see, qaf over here, if we look at this phrase, we have qaf over here. So that means the lam sakin, as you can see in here, sorry, for a second, lam sakin in here will be pronounced. And this phrase will let you know when we have to manifest the sound of lam sakin. Otherwise, there are the other letters over here, like sun letters. We can see the lam sakin, first of all, does not contain any sukoon. Automatically, you can also guess that we will not read the lam sakin, and we'll just read it, merge the alif or whatever word we have here. We have waw, was zaytun, was shams. So ash-shams, you know, is sun letter, and al-qamar, they are moon letters. For example, in any of these letters in the Holy Quran, it's really easy nowadays. It facilitates us with the mark of sukoon and without the mark of sukoon. And automatically, while you're practicing, you can actually tell when to manifest or when to pronounce the lam sakin and when not to. If it's difficult for you to remember which letters are moon letters, which are sun letters, just remember two words. Al-qamar. Al-qamar means the moon, and you can see when you hear al-qamar, you can hear the lam. Ash-shams, as you can hear that I'm not pronouncing the lam. So this is just some of the examples for that. We'll go into more examples of moon letters and sun letter. So we have, first, we have the line of sun letters. I'll just read a couple of examples. Watteen was zaytun. Now, as you can see, I am not pronouncing the lam. So when I'm not pronouncing the lam, then it's automatically a sun letter. And for moon letters, you have to pronounce the lam. Huwal awwal, wal akhir. So we will inshallah go into more detail and practice. But first, there are a couple of other points that I want to mention because they will come in between. Noon Qutni, as you know, is a miniature noon. And there are some instances in the Holy Quran where a miniature noon is placed in between two words. As you can see over here, the small noon here is placed in between two words. This indicates the presence of tanween in the previous word and must be pronounced with a kasra in joining such two words. However, this miniature noon would be ignored if waqf or pause is done. And for the first word, we'll read. And in the second word, we will not read the noon kutni or the small noon. So just remember, noon kutni is read only in wasl, that is in continuation, when connecting two words. But if the reader makes a pause in the first word and starts the next word, the small noon will be ignored altogether in reading. So here we have example. If I read in continuation, that is, I will not make a pause, it will be khayrut ma'anna. Khayru nitma'anna. And another example, fitnatunin qalaba. Okay, so I am reading this noon kutni. This noon kutni means that the word before that in this example is showing that there is kasratain. But while in the Holy Quran, while we read in continuation, we will read it with the noon with the kasra. However, if I make a pause here, I'll just read khayr and then I will drop the noon and this will be read as itma'anna. Now, why I have chosen to make this blank alif read with kasra, I'll tell you in a minute. But this is just to show you that how in the Holy Quran we sometimes have noon kutni in it. And when we do waqf, we will not pronounce it. So moving on, we are going to talk about Hamzatul Wasl, which is a blank alif. It's an unvowel letter. And in Arabic terminology, it's wrote as Hamzatul Wasl. That blank alif does not have any vowel, any haraka on top. And during continuation, while you're reciting in the Quran, it will be dropped. Now, in the first category, we have blank alif will always take fatha if the next letter is lam sakin or lam mushaddad. As you can see in the first example here, it will be read as ar-Rahman. So the alif here will have a fatha. And as you know from our topic of today, that this lam is not being manifested, it's merged. Okay, so how would you know if which is it sun letter or moon letter? So if you don't remember the phrase, remember the two words, ash-shams and al-qamar. So as I'm not pronouncing lam, ash-shams, this is a sun letter. And another example, we can see we have lam sakin and it's manifesting. The alif will also, again, because there's lam sakin in front, it will contain a fatha. So we'll pronounce it as al-maliku, and so on. So next category, if I go to, is if the second or third letter of such a word bears a fatha or a kasra, the blank alif will take a kasra. Now, before I begin the second category, let me remind you the easiest way how to know if an alif will have a fatha is to remember that whenever you see alif and whenever you see lam, with or without a sukun mark or a mushaddad like here, or as you can see in this case, it does not have lam sakin here, but the second word has tashdid. So it will always, the alif, blank alif will always contain fatha. And in the second category, if the second or third letter where contains fatha or kasra. Now, in the first word, we have alif, then we have ayn, which is mute, and then we have lam with fatha. So it will be read as i'lamu. And if you look into the next example, I have alif with ta mushaddad. But if you look at the second word, there is dhamma. But we won't look at dhamma. We'll look at the first voweled letter. So the harakat is fatha. And like I said, if it's fatha or if it's kasra, the blank alif will always have kasra. Ittaqu. And so on, we have irji'i. Now, moving on to the last category is that if the very first mutaharrik voweled letter of such a word bears a dhamma, the blank alif will take a dhamma. In the first example, we have alif and we have qaf, which is mute, and then we have dhamma. So automatically the alif will contain dhamma. Uqtulu, and so forth. Usjudu. So as you can see, why we're talking about hamzatul wasl. Before I go into practice, from our previous lesson, we will just revise the common errors. And the first one is to not pronounce gunna if noon sakin or tanween appears before a lam with shadda or ra with shadda. So we will not pronounce dhamma noon gunna at all. Milladunka, min rabbi. And the second common error is when you do not pronounce the noon gunna for more than 2 seconds. So always remember to pronounce gunna not less than 2 seconds if noon sakin or tanween appears before a ya with shadda or waw with shadda. So, man yu'minu min wal. So, now, as you know, the attributes of Allah, Asma'ul Husna, they are the perfect examples that we can practice the sun letters and the moon letters, you know, the idgham of lam sakin. And well, I'll just read one. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. We'll take more students in a minute. But also before I start the practice, I'll just quickly let you know that, you know, we have combined while reciting the Holy Quran. The reason why I went through Nun Kutni and also blank alif was because when you do waqf, it's very important that you remember when you're doing waqf, there are rules, how you are going to pronounce the middle of the word or, you know, middle of the verse. So in this case, as you can see, if I look at the first example, I told you about Nun Kutni, but in the old editions of the Holy Quran, the Nun Kutni was written with next to the second letter, not the first. So the first word is missing here in the old Holy Quran. Obviously, in the new editions, its Nun Kutni will be mentioned next to the first word. But in this case, as you can see, this will not be pronounced as nilladhi because that's wrong. It will be pronounced alladhi. So we will drop the noon because it's actually, we are doing waqf here. And we have the same example in this case. So can I ask the ST for a student so we can start the practice?
Yes, could I please request G4738 to unmute?
G4738, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam. Can you recite the first column for me?
Yes. Do I need to do ta'awuz and tasmiyah?
You can do that, would be really good.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن الرحيم. الملك.
Okay, and can I ask you to recite the first line for me, paying attention to the rules that I have just gone through?
الذي.
Very good.
بئس الاسم الفسوق.
Okay, so remember I went through the blank alif. So over here, inshallah, in the future, you'll learn more about it. But can you tell me if you're going to pronounce the alif or the lam here?
I'm going to pronounce the lam.
Exactly. So do you want to try it again?
Yeah. بئس الاسم الاسم.
It's بئس الاسم.
Oh, okay. بئس الاسم.
Yeah. The alif here is blank, and so is the alif over here. Okay? So it's only the lam that you will read.
Okay.
Do you want to try the next line? Starting from here.
Yeah. بقلب منيب.
Good.
ندخلوها.
Okay. Can I ask you why you have read the Noon
Oh,
Kutni?
sorry.
Yes.
I'm supposed to drop it. Yeah.
Yes. So you look at, now always remember Noon Kutni contains, always comes with a blank alif, as you can see in both the cases. And that's why I went through the rules of blank alif. As you can see with the blank alif, which word do you think, what will it carry? Which this blank alif? Will it carry fatha, dhamma, or kasra?
Is it kasra?
Okay, so look at the first mutaharrik letter. What do you see on the, which harakat is on dal, for example?
The sukoon.
Yes, so that means you won't look at that. Look at the third one. You can see kha. Kha contains
Dhamma.
dhamma. So whenever there is dhamma, first mutaharrik letter, alif will automatically contain dhamma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you want to recite it again?
Yep. udkhuluha. Udkhuluha.
Yes. Continue.
udkhuluha bisalamin.
Good. And if you do waqf, it will be bisalam.
Bisalam.
Yes. Jazakallah. For now, we are going to go towards the surah practice. And with this, I'll hand over to the TA.
Jazakallah. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Here it is. ST, kindly unmute an ID so we could start the practice of surah with her.
Yes, could I please request G4726 to unmute?
Okay, what's the ID?
G4726.
G4726.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Jazakallah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah. So could you please start the recitation with Ta'awuz and Tasmiyah? And from here.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أرسلناك بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وإن من أمة إلا فيها نذير.
G4726, Jazakallah. But before your next turn, kindly check your audio settings, Zoom audio settings, because you always come with some issues with the audio, and it doesn't let me listen to your beautiful recitation.
Is it breaking up or is that just...
Yeah, your voice disappears always.
Sorry,
So
let me...
there is some issue with your audio setting, Zoom audio setting. Okay.
Is it better now?
Okay, let's talk about this verse only.
Okay.
So, do you know what type of stroke is it?
This is Madh Saghir.
Yes, this sign is Madh Saghir. And how should we pronounce this?
It's for 3 to 5 seconds.
Exactly. And what is the rule for Noon Mushaddad?
Is the ghunna, so you have to pronounce this at least for 2 counts.
Well done. And what about this tanween followed by waw?
So Rama would be a ghunna pronunciation as well, and you have to do that at least for 2 counts.
Okay, so
nasalization included.
Yes, nasalization, and it is one of Yarmalun letters. And what about stopping here? How should we stop here?
So we should stop with the ra because the tanween would be switching to a single.
Exactly.
Fatha.
And because
And
it
because
has
of the alif, and you
Mhm.
will do 2 counts.
Exactly, and with a thick sound.
Okay, yes.
Nazira. And what about this ya sakin? What rule applies on it?
This is ya madhiya because it's followed by a kasra letter.
Exactly, the letter before it is a maksur letter, so it makes it a maumadiyya, and we prolong this. Exactly. And what type of noon sakin is it?
So this is you have to pronounce it clearly because of the alif. These are the what's called there's the clear pronunciation. Sorry, I can't
Exactly.
get
Yes, you are
the
right.
Arabic word.
The letter of izhar, or the
Izhar,
letter of
exactly.
manifestation.
Yes.
Well done, Jazakillah, mashallah. Inshallah, we will give you another chance in some future class. And please make sure your audio is better before that. Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
Jazakillah, mashallah. Your
Jazakallah.
recitation is so good. Okay. ST, we need one more ID for recitation.
Yes, could I please request G4747 to unmute?
G4747. Assalamu alaikum. G4747.
No, I think they seem to have left. We'll go for someone else. Could I please request G4762 to unmute?
G4762. Assalamu alaikum. G4762.
Walaikum salam.
Okay, how are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Could you please start the recitation with Tawuz and Tasmiyah? From here.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإن يكذبوك فقد كذب الذين من قبلهم جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات وبالزبر وبالكتاب المنير ثم أخذت الذين كفروا فكيف كان نكير.
Jazakallah, well done, mashallah. Your recitation is so good. And can you tell me how should we pronounce this nun sakin? With nasal sound or without nasal sound?
Without nasal sound.
Well done, Jazakallah. Oh, sorry, it is with nasal sound, but in yukazibuka, because after nun sakin, yarmanun letter or ya is here. Okay, so we will assimilate it partially by in yukazibuka. And how should we pronounce this letter dal? Are you with us, G4762?
I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry.
how should we pronounce? What did you say, sorry?
فقد كذب الذين.
Okay, is it dal or ra?
It's dal.
Dal. So we should pronounce it with a jerk. Okay, because dal is one of the alkala letters or jerking letter. And if we are starting from here, what stroke will this alif take?
Fatha.
Jazakallah, well done. And what about this sign? What is rule for it?
I didn't get the question, sorry.
What is the rule for this mad?
5 to 6 seconds. Or 4 to
Yeah,
6
4 to
seconds.
6 seconds. Yes, you are right. Jazakallah, and it is called Madde Kabir. Okay.
Yeah.
And how should we pronounce this word separately? If you are starting with Alif.
Al-Munir.
Jazakillah. So Alif will take Fatha because next letter is Lam. So whenever Lam comes after blank Alif and we are starting from Alif, Alif will take Fatha. So well done, Jazakillah, for recitation. Mashallah, you did so well.
Thank you.
ST, kindly unmute another ID.
Yes, could I please request G4 770 to unmute?
G4 770. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So could you please start the recitation from here after Tawbuz and Tasmiyah?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به ثمرات مختلفا ألوانها ومن الجبال جدد بيض وحمر مختلف ألوانها وغرابيب سود.
Jazakillah, mashallah, well done. Okay, there are a few things to discuss with you. So here you pronounce this noon. How should we pronounce this noon? With should we manifest it or not?
No.
Yes, because the next letter is not a letter of izhar or throat letter. So how will you pronounce this word with a nasal sound?
Anzala.
With nasal sound?
Anzala.
Well done. And if you stopped here, how should you pronounce this word?
Ma.
The tanween of this hamza or tanween of fathatan will change into a fatha. Okay, and we will prolong it a bit because we are stopping here. So it is ma. Okay. And what type of letter is kha?
It's thick letter.
Well done. And maftura, what type of letter is it acting here?
It's also thick letter.
Yes, whenever ra carries fatha or dhamma, it should be pronounced in a thick sound. And how should we stop here? Read this word again, please.
Alvanuha.
And we should prolong it while stopping. Okay. Alvanuha. Right.
Okay. Alvanuha.
Yes, you're right. And if we are stopping here and starting our word from this alif, how should we pronounce this alif? Which letter will it take? Exactly, al-jibali. And because
lam,
yes,
next word
because
is
of lam. If lam is after blank alif, then alif will take fatha if you are starting from here. And what type of ya is this? Is it,
Sukoon letter.
yes, it is ya sakin. Is it acting here as ya mad or ya leen?
Yailin.
How did you recognize?
Because of the word be, the first.
Okay,
Be.
if ba carries a fatha, then it becomes yailin. But ba has a kasra underneath it, so it becomes yai madda. Okay, it becomes a mad letter. Gharabibu. Okay, so lean letters are pronounced in a round or soft sound. Okay, it isn't a lean letter, it is a mad letter. And what about this wasakin? Is it a mad letter or lean letter?
It's a lean letter.
It is also
Mad.
mad letter because its previous letter is carrying a dhamma. Okay, so lean letters are waw and ya, and their previous letter always carry fatha. Okay,
Only fatha.
yeah, only fatha. But these are the examples of mad letters. Okay, and this as well. So 3 examples of mad letters are in front of you: Ghara, Bi, Bu, and Sood. Okay, and this tanween will change into a sukoon while stopping. Sood, right? Okay. Jazakillah, but yes, Sood. Jazakillah for recitation. Well done. Misty, kindly unmute another ID for recitation.
Yes. Could I please request G4727 to unmute?
G4742.
G4727.
G4727. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah. So could you please start recitation from here?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن الناس والدواب I think I did this wrong, no?
Try again.
Is it what B or is it what?
Start from here, and it is Waddawabi.
Okay. ومن الناس والدواب والأنعام مختلف ألوانه كذلك إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء إن الله عزيز غفور.
Jazakillah. You tried well, but let's have a look on highlighted words. So here you have to pronounce it, like you have to connect this waw with ba while prolonging it, okay? Because waw had a madde kabir on top of it. So it is Waddawabi.
Okay.
Try again.
Waddawabi.
Well done. And here you stopped. How should we stop on tanween?
Only one dhamma was read.
No, this tanween will change into a sukoon if you are stopping on this word. Mukhtalif.
Mukhtalif.
Yes, and then you can restart from any meaningful letter like word like wal an'ami mukhtalifun. Okay, you can start again from previous few letters. And how should we treat this blank alif here?
As a prolonging?
Yes. How should we prolong this word? Read the word again, please.
Okay. Alvanuhu.
Yes, and you missed this prolongation of 2 seconds last time. So it is alif maddiya. Okay,
yeah.
Because its previous letter is carrying a fatha. And what type of stroke is it?
This is ishbaya.
Yes.
And
what
it's 2
is
seconds. 2 seconds rule.
Yes, so it should also be prolonged. And how should what rule applies on this lamul jalala? Should we pronounce it with a thick sound or in a thin sound?
I think it's thick. I'm not sure.
Yes. So how should you pronounce this? Yakhshallaha. Exactly. Yes, and we have a sign. We have an option to stop here, but how should we stop here?
Is it again silent or?
Okay, if you are starting from here with this alif, what stroke will it take?
Fatha.
Exactly, because next letter is lam. And what change will you bring in this hamza?
Sakin letter sukun.
Exactly. So how should you pronounce this word now while stopping?
Al-ulama.
Exactly. So there will be no u sound. Okay, no dhamma sound while stopping. It is al-ulama with slight jerk on hamza. And should we pronounce this lamul jalala with thick sound or in thin sound?
I think thick sound because of the fatha previous letter.
Yes, its previous mutharrik letter is carrying a fatha. And exactly, in Allah with a thick, fuller mouth. And how should pronounce this? Should we pronounce this tanween with nasal sound or without nasal sound?
Nasal sound.
Yes. Is it a clear noon or not?
Not clear one.
It is a clear noon. And how can we recognize?
Is it the fatha or is it the thick letter? I'm not sure.
No. Its next letter is a throat letter. Huruf is har. So we should pronounce this or manifest this tanween of noon. So how will you pronounce these words now?
So it's not nasal sound then, right?
Yes, it is a clear noon.
Azizum Ghafur.
Well done. And do you know why you prolong this fa?
It's because of its vaw madhya, I think.
Exactly. So it is vaw madhya because its recent letter carries a dhamma stroke.
Yeah.
Okay. Jazakillah. Mashallah. You know most of the rules perfectly. That is very good. So we are left with a few minutes. So Jazakillah G4 727, and let's have a recap of our lesson.
You can
with
take one
OTT.
more student, please.
Okay. ST, kindly unmute another ID. Do we have another student for recitation? Okay. ST, can you unmute another ID?
G4 769.
G4 769. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Could you please start the recitation from verse 30?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. إن الذين يتلون كتاب الله وأقاموا الصلاة وأنفقوا مما رزقناهم سرارا وعلانية يرجون تجارة لن تبور.
Jazakallah. Okay. You started recitation from here. So how should we pronounce this noon?
2 seconds. Innalladina.
Innallazina. It is dal. Okay. Innallazina. And you added wow here. Va here. There isn't any va here. Okay. So innallazina yatluna. Okay. And you were prolonging a few short stroke, which we should avoid because it can change the meaning of the words. Okay. And how should we pronounce this word?
Siraran.
Sirramwa.
Oh, Sirramva.
Yes, exactly. Because next letter is Yarmalun letter or letter of assimilation. So we will assimilate with nasal sound. And again, what should we do here? Should we merge it with nasal sound or without nasal sound?
With nasal sound.
Exactly. So it is alaniyatan yarjuna. Okay.
Yes.
And what should we do here? Tanween is followed by lam. Mushaddad lam.
Yes.
Should we pronounce it with the nasal sound or without nasal sound?
Without the nasal sound.
We will merge it without nasal sound. Exactly. Whenever lam and ra comes after tanween, we merge it, assimilate
without the
nasal sound. Exactly. So Jazakallah, well done. G4
769.
69. Well done. Okay, so let's do a recap now with ODT. Jazakumullah, everyone.
Jazakallah. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so quickly, I'll just go through today's recap. We learned about the sun and moon letters, Izhar al-Qamari and Idgham al-Shamsi. The phrase to remember is Abqi hajjaka wa khaf aqimah. So whenever these 14 letters come, the lam sakin will be manifested and clearly pronounced. And the other second haruf al-Shamsiyah, the alif and lam, as you can see, there's no sukoon mark, and the other 14 letters, we will not pronounce the lam. Easiest way to remember is if you see lam sakin with alif, you will manifest the lam. If there is no mark of sukoon, you will not manifest it. And we also learned about noon kutni. Noon kutni, if present, is only read while in continuation. Otherwise, it is not read. It will be dropped during waqf. So if you do waqf in between the first and the second letter, you will not read noon kutni. Otherwise, when you're reading in continuation, you will read it. We also learned about hamazatul wasl. And in the first category, whenever you see lam sakin or lam mushaddad, if there's alif and lam, the alif, the blank letter, will always have fatha. And if the second or third letter of a word contains fatha or it contains kasra, then the alif will always contain kasra. And if the third letter and the first mutaharrik letter, in this case, has dhamma, then the alif will take on dhamma as well. We also went through the common errors that when we will not pronounce gunna if noon sakin or tanween appears before a lam with shadda or ra with shadda. But you will pronounce gunna not less than 2 seconds if noon sakin or tanween appears before a ya with shadda or waw without shadda. And we can do some examples in, at of Allah, and because of time, we couldn't continue. Can I quickly ask ST for a student so we can do the ending prayer?
G4 703.
G4 703. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Can you
Ji.
start the ending prayer? G4 703, are you there?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Yeah, wa alaikum
Yeah,
assalam.
sorry. It's for mute. I'm so sorry.
No
Okay.
worries.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني عبدك وابن عبدك وابن أمتك نصيتي بيدك ماض في حكمك عدل في قضاؤك أسألك بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك أن تجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي ونور صدري وجلاء حزني وذهاب همي. In the name
Jazakallah,
of
mashallah,
Allah.
you have recited very well. Since we are out of time, we will not recite the translation, but Jazakallah. And with this, I bear farewell to everybody. Jazakallah for attending to this class. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.